Ugh, it's that time of year again. Another round of financial resolutions that, let's be honest, are probably going to fail by February. I'm just so tired of all the advice that boils down to try harder. But the source material we're looking at today, it's different. It treats your finances like an engineering problem, not a motivational one. It's not a resolution, it's a protocol. So let's get into the specs.
Exactly. The whole premise here is a choice in system design. We are completely abandoning willpower, which is basically a finite resource, a battery that just drains with every single decision you make, and we're replacing it with systems architecture. That's a machine. You build it once, and it runs itself. I mean, one model has a near certain failure rate. The other is literally engineered for success by default. The choice is pretty obvious.
Okay, so let's diagnose that willpower problem. We all start with the best intentions, right? Manually tracking every expense, checking the bank account. But the whole thing just seems to collapse by week 3. Why is that the default outcome for almost everyone?
Well, the data is pretty damning, an 80% failure rate. Look, that's not a user error, that is a system error. If your software crashed 80% of the time, you wouldn't blame the user, you'd fix the code. Willpower-based budgeting is just fundamentally bad code.
And this is the core design flaw. You wouldn't try to power a major city with a single AA battery, right? Yet we try to power our entire financial future on willpower, a resource that gets exhausted by tiny things, like deciding what to have for lunch. The goal isn't to find a bigger battery, it's to build a power plant.
So, if we're throwing out the whole battery model, what do we replace it with? This protocol suggests a really powerful new analogy. Start thinking of your money as water. This mental shift, it changes everything.
This is the manual approach. Your paycheck comes in, that's the water source, and you spend the rest of the month running around carrying that water to different buckets. One for rent, one for groceries, maybe a tiny one for savings. It's just a high-friction, completely manual way of allocating resources.
Ugh, it's absolutely exhausting. The constant management, the stress, the little bits that spill over from impulse buys or miscalculations, it's a huge cognitive load to carry around all month.
The solution, then, is to stop carrying the buckets and instead install a sealed plumbing system. Your income hits the main valve, and from there, it's automatically routed exactly where it needs to go. Zero effort, zero mess, and zero manual decisions.
All right, I'm sold on the concept. Pipes, not buckets. I get it. But what are the hardware specifications? What do I actually need to build this wealth machine?
Before we install anything, we have to calibrate the system. And you can forget about tracking every single coffee you buy. Instead, you do what's called a reverse budget. Just add up your absolute fixed costs, rent, utilities, debt payments, and subtract that total from your monthly take-home pay. The number you're left with, that's your free cash flow. It is the total volume of water your system will process each month, and it's the only input metric you need to care about.
Okay, here's the hardware you'll need. It's just 3 accounts. First, you have the hub. This is your main checking account. Think of it as an intake valve. All your income lands here, but it's designed to be empty within 24 hours. Second, the vault. This is a high-yield savings or investment account. It's the reservoir for your future wealth, and the #1 rule is you never ever spend from it. And third, the guilt-free tank. This is just a secondary checking account, and its critical function is to be the one and only source for all of your fun, discretionary spending.
Okay, so the hardware is defined, the flow rate is calculated. How do we actually program the pipes? How do we make the water move?
This is the software part, the automation rules that connect the whole system. And there are really only 3 pipes you need to build. Pipe A sends money to your future self. Pipe B handles all your fixed costs, and Pipe C funds your present self. Pipe A is the big one. It's non-negotiable. The day after your income arrives in the hub, you have an automatic transfer scheduled to move your target savings percentage, let's say it's 20%, directly into the vault. This happens before you can even think about touching it. Boom! Wealth creation is now your default setting.
So Pipe B is easy. That's just automating your bill payments to come directly out of the hub. But then you install the final and most clever pipe, Pipe C. You take whatever is left of your free cash flow and set up an auto transfer for that exact amount, moving it from the hub into your guilt-free tank. And this right here, this is the real game changer.
Hold on a minute. We just built this super rigid, automated system that puts a hard cap on my spending money. How on earth does a strict limit create freedom? I mean, that sounds like a total paradox.
Let's just sit with that question for a second, because this is the entire psychological key. It's the reason this architecture works when pure willpower always fails.
The system isn't about restriction. It's about decision removal. See, the real drag on your finances, the thing that makes you anxious, isn't the spending itself. It's the constant, agonizing process of deciding whether or not to spend. This protocol makes that decision for you, just once, at the system level, at the very beginning of the month. So the system completely redefines what freedom is. It's not about having infinite options. It's about being liberated from having to constantly calculate those options. The new rule is simple. It's binary. If there's money in the guilt-free tank, you can spend it. No hesitation, no second thoughts. If the tank is empty, you stop. The cognitive friction is just gone.
And the result is this incredible net gain in mental bandwidth. By automating all that low-level noise, you reclaim a ton of energy, and you can redeploy that energy to your career, your relationships, your health. Variables that actually have a much higher ROI than stressing about your checking account balance.
But here's the most crucial point, the leverage. The final metric is the return on your time. The input may be 2 hours of work one time to set this all up. The output? 8,758 hours of automated financial progress for the year. You build the machine once, and it just runs.
And that's really the final question to leave you with. Are you going to keep trying to recharge that draining battery of willpower, just hoping that this time will be different? Or are you ready to spend one afternoon becoming an architect and building a machine that guarantees your success by default?